I saw her today, in the most ordinary place, the supermarket. A place of fluorescent lights, soulless music, aisles lined with plastic promises. But she was different. She didn't belong there, not in that world of cheap cereal boxes and discounted detergent. I walked in with no reason, no plan, but when I saw her, suddenly I was awake. I pretended to shop. I picked up things I didn't need, just to keep walking behind her, just to stay in her orbit. Every step she took, it felt like she was dragging the entire universe with her. Her hair, it wasn't just hair, it was a language. Dark, flowing, speaking in whispers every time she moved. And her eyes? God, her eyes. They weren't blue, they weren't green, they were storms. Storms that could drown a man without even touching him. And the way she reached for a carton of milk, the smallest thing, it made me realize how clumsy I am with beauty. I've never known what to do with it. I've always felt like a trespasser, standing too close to something sacred. What could I possibly offer her? Me, broke, drifting from job to job, carrying a head full of noise and shadows. Me who can barely hold myself together, let alone deserve someone carved from light. So I followed, quietly, between shelves of bread and fruit and bottled water. Not because I thought she would notice me. Not because I thought she should. But because for a few stolen minutes, I wanted to believe I was part of her world. Even if I was just a ghost wandering through it. Love. People talk about it like it's this simple, warm thing. They sing about it, write about it, sell it in movies with happy endings. But for me, love has always felt like a mirror I can't stand to look into. It shows me everything I don't have. It shows me how unfit I am to hold something so fragile, so alive. I've always been clumsy with beauty, with kindness, with light. It slips through my hands before I even realize I'm touching it. They say love is patient. Love is kind. But my love, it's restless, chaotic, born out of hunger and loneliness. It doesn't bloom like a flower. It burns like a fever. And I know deep down that kind of love destroys more than it saves. How could I love her the way she deserves? With what? With empty pockets, unstable work, nights spent wrestling with voices in my own head? With this fractured version of myself I can't even fix? No. Love, to me, is a ghost. It visits, it haunts, it lingers in the corner of my mind. But it never stays. It was never meant for someone like me. Love and beauty. People like to pair them together, as if they belong to each other. But to me, they've always been enemies. Beauty seduces, love exposes. Beauty is the spark, but love is the wound. When I see beauty, I freeze. It paralyzes me, like staring into the sun. I can't move, can't speak, because I know whatever I do will ruin it. I'm not made to touch beautiful things. I'm the shadow that reminds them they're glowing. And love is even crueler. It doesn't just remind me of what I can't have. It forces me to stand in front of myself, to face the empty spaces I've tried so hard to hide. Sometimes I wonder, are love and beauty just tricks? Bait for the strong, punishment for the weak? Because every time I get close, they slip away. Like they were never mine to begin with. Maybe that's all I am. Not a participant, not a lover, not a witness. Just a passerby in a world built for someone else's heart. People worship love like it's salvation. But I've learned something darker. Sometimes the emptiness inside me is more loyal than any lover could ever be. Love promises forever, and then it leaves. Love whispers comfort, but it demands, it breaks, it punishes when you can't give enough. Emptiness, it asks for nothing. It never betrays me. It just stays, cold, consistent, honest. When I lie awake at night, it's not love that keeps me company. It's the hollow echo in my chest, the familiar silence that never abandons me. Maybe that's why love terrifies me. Because deep down, I know I'll always crawl back to the void. It doesn't judge me. It doesn't look at my brokenness and flinch. It accepts me fully, the way no human ever has. So tell me, why should I chase something as fragile as love, when the emptiness has proven itself the only thing strong enough to stay? Love makes fools of us all. That's the cruel trick. It takes the sharpest mind, the most cautious soul, and it reduces them to a beggar chasing scraps of attention. I've seen myself do it. I can stand in a room thinking I know who I am, thinking I'm strong, untouchable. But the second she looks my way, everything collapses. My logic, my pride, my walls, gone. And what's left is something small, desperate, pathetic. It's funny, isn't it? How love sells itself as this grand, noble force, when in truth, it strips us of dignity. We beg, we stumble, we humiliate ourselves just to be near someone who might not even care. Sometimes I wonder if that's love's real nature. Not a blessing, not a miracle, but a sickness. One that convinces us our chains are wings and our desperation is beauty. And still I can't help but crave it. Even knowing it makes me less, I want it. Like fire, even if it burns me to ash. Love, it's not always soft, not always gentle. Sometimes it behaves more like an addiction. The first taste is sweet, too sweet, enough to trick you into thinking you found a cure for loneliness. But then, you need more. More of their voice, more of their touch, more of their presence. And the moment they're gone, even for a second, the withdrawal begins. Your chest tightens, your thoughts shake, and suddenly you're nothing without your fix. I used to think love was freedom. Now I see it's another kind of cage. A gilded one, yes, but still a cage. Because when you need someone like a drug, you stop being yourself. You live only for the next dose, the next smile, the next fleeting reassurance. And maybe that's the darkest part. We call it love, dress it up with poetry and flowers. But underneath, it's hunger. A hunger that consumes you until you don't know if you love them, or just the high they give you. They say love brings peace, but for me, love is a battlefield. Not against the world, not against her, but against myself. Every glance she gives me feels like a weapon. Every silence cuts deeper than any blade. I fight the urge to speak, the urge to reach out, the urge to confess things I swore I'd bury. It's chaos inside. One half of me wants to run to her. The other half wants to disappear before she sees the wreck I really am. And in between those halves, I'm shredded. What's cruel is that she'll never know this war exists. She'll never hear the screams inside my chest, the negotiations I make with my own demons just to stand still in her presence. People imagine love the soft music, gentle touches, but I know it as combat. A war that leaves no victors, only ruins where a heart used to be. I saw her again, between the cold aisles of the supermarket, her hands moving delicately over things so ordinary, turning them into something sacred just by touching them. Her hair fell carelessly, like shadows spilling over her shoulders. Her eyes, God, her eyes, they weren't looking at me. But even the way she looked at a row of fruit made me feel like I was intruding on something holy. And there I was, pretending to check labels, pretending I belonged in her orbit. While inside, the war raged on. One part of me screaming, "Speak to her!" The other half hissing, "Don't you dare! You'll ruin it! You'll ruin everything!" I swear, even her silence was louder than the chaos in my head. The way she brushed a strand of hair behind her ear was enough to disarm every defense I've built my entire life. How do you survive beauty like that? How do you stand there with your broken hands and your empty pockets and not feel like you're trespassing in a world you don't deserve to touch? I froze for a moment as she walked past the aisle. Her presence, it wasn't just seen, it was felt, like a soft earthquake that shifted everything in the room. The curve of her neck, the subtle tilt of her head, the way her fingers lingered on the packaging of some random cereal. I swear, every little movement of hers was poetry I couldn't read aloud. I wanted to follow, to tell her, to confess how small I feel next to her light, how my chest tightens just watching her, how every rational thought I have evaporates when she smiles unknowingly. I tell myself to step back, to pretend I'm buying milk, sugar, bread. But my eyes betray me. I follow her, not with my legs, but with every pulse in my body, every stolen breath. Her scent, soft, fleeting, impossible to pin down, haunts me even when she turns a corner and disappears. It's cruel how something so simple can unravel a man, how beauty can feel like both heaven and a cage. And I realize I am falling in love with her shadow, with the light she casts without knowing, with a universe I'll never belong to. You know, love isn't what they tell you it is. It's not always warmth, not always comfort. Sometimes it's sharp, like a knife you didn't see coming. And maybe that's why it terrifies us, because it asks us to be more than we are, to open parts of ourselves we've hidden even from ourselves. I want you to understand this, that craving someone, wanting them, it doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But it also makes you vulnerable in ways you can't always control. Look, I've spent so many nights thinking about how love can illuminate the best of us, and yet reveal the worst. So here we are, at the edge of all these thoughts. All the nights I've spent chasing ghosts of affection. All the wars I've waged inside myself. I want you to see it like I do. Love isn't a safe harbor. It's a storm. A storm that can drown you or carry you to heights you didn't know existed. And maybe that's why we keep looking for it, even after it leaves scars, even after it hurts. Because the glimpse of light it gives us is worth every fracture, every sleepless night, every ache. So take this with you. Don't expect love to be easy or clean or fair. Expect it to be wild, unpredictable, sometimes cruel, sometimes breathtaking. And if you survive it, if you let yourself feel it, truly feel it, then you know, in the end, even in its chaos, love is one of the only things that makes us fully alive. That's my confession, and maybe yours too, if you let it sink in. You know, I sometimes wonder if these words even reach anyone. If they just fade into the digital void, like whispers swallowed by silence. But then again, maybe you're here, listening, breathing with me in this moment. And if you are, that means something. It means I'm not entirely alone in this chaos. So, if these thoughts left a mark on you, if they echoed even faintly inside your chest, then let them live a little longer. Keep them close. Keep them alive. Because this strange connection we've built, it only survives if you choose to carry it forward. Your presence here is more than just numbers on a screen. It's proof that voices like mine still matter. And maybe, just maybe, that's all I've ever wanted.